I never believed in ghost stories, not really. Not the kind that creep around summer campfires whispered between mouthfuls of burnt marshmallows and mosquito bites. I mean, yeah, they're fun. Make believe. But belief? Nah. Not until Pine Hollow. Not until that summer. It was July. Hot, sticky, unforgiving. I was 16, hired as a junior counselor mostly because my cousin Janie vouched for me. She'd been coming to Pine Hollow for years, swore it was magic. Said the lake was glass in the mornings, and the stars at night looked close enough to grab. But nobody told me about the Whistler. Not up front. Not until the third night, when the older kids started daring each other to stay up past lights out and listen. I was sitting on the creaky porch of Cabin 4, rubbing calamine lotion on mosquito welts, when I first heard it. A whistle. Not a tune, not really. More like a low, off-key wee, drawn out too long, like someone trying to mimic birdsong and failing miserably. I froze. Thought maybe it was one of the kids playing a prank. I waited, squinting through the tree line. Nothing but darkness and a few flickering porch lights. No footsteps, no rustling. Just that damn whistle again, closer this time. My skin prickled. I ducked inside and told myself it was just someone being dumb. Kids, or maybe one of the other counselors pulling a late-night scare. But I couldn't shake the way it made my stomach knot up like bad food. The next day, I brought it up to Janie. She was tying her hair back, sitting cross-legged on her bunk like she owned the place. "Oh," she said, way too casual. "Yeah, that's the night whistler." I laughed. "Seriously?" She just nodded, her expression unreadable. "It's just a story, right?" Janie didn't answer for a second. Then, depends who you ask. That night, I couldn't sleep. I laid there, staring at the wooden ceiling, listening to the bugs and frogs and the occasional giggle from the girls in the next bunk. But mostly, I listened for the whistle. It didn't come. Not that night. But the next one? It came loud and clear around 2 a.m. Same eerie sound, same dragging pitch. But this time I swear it moved. Started off in the woods, then shifted to the gravel trail behind the cabins. Then it sounded like it was just outside my window. I sat bolt upright in bed, heart in my throat. I peeked out through the screen. Nothing. No one. Just trees swaying in the wind. But the whistling continued, like it knew I was listening. Like it wanted me to listen. The next morning, one of the younger campers, Sadie, wouldn't stop crying. Said she saw a man in the woods, said he had no eyes. We chalked it up to a nightmare. She was homesick. Maybe overheard a story. But when we did a head count later that day, one of the boys from Cabin 2, Tyler, was missing. Gone. They found his shoes at the edge of the woods. Nothing else. Search parties, police, even dogs were brought in. Nothing. And then the rumors started. About the whistle. About how Tyler had told the other boys he'd heard someone calling his name the night before. Calling in a whistle. Like some twisted game of Marco Polo. I wanted to write it off. I really did. But then more kids started hearing it. Not just the little ones. Counselors, too. One girl packed her bags and left without saying a word. Janie got weird after that. She stopped talking much, kept pacing at night, looking out the windows. One night, I found her sitting outside alone, knees pulled up to her chest, shivering. "You hear it again?" I asked. She didn't answer at first. Then she whispered, "I think he likes me." I laughed, because what else could I do? "Who?" She looked me dead in the eyes. "The Whistler." I felt a chill even though the night was warm. "Janie, it's not real." But she shook her head. "He whistles your name. That's how you know he's close." I didn't sleep that night, or the night after. The camp director started holding group sleep-ins in the mess hall, said it was to ease the kids' nerves. But everyone knew. We were scared, really scared. And then, the night before I was supposed to leave, because, yeah, I begged my mom to pick me up early, I heard the whistle again. Louder than ever. It didn't fade in like before. It started loud, as if it was already there. And then came the voice, my name, whistled, drawn out, mocking. "Kyla." I lost it. I grabbed my flashlight, threw on shoes, and ran straight to Janie's cabin. But she wasn't there. No one had seen her since dinner. The counselors searched. The director called the police again, but it was the same story. Shoes by the woods. Nothing else. The camp closed early that year. I haven't been back since. Sometimes I still hear that whistle. Not outside. No, just in my head. Usually late at night. When it's real quiet and I can't sleep. I try to tell myself it's trauma, stress, the brain playing tricks. But sometimes I wonder if the whistler isn't just some spirit or ghost, if maybe he's something older, something that lives in the woods and doesn't like to be forgotten. He picks his favorites, Janie said. Maybe that's true. Maybe he picked her. And maybe now, he's picking me. I still don't know what happened to Janie, or Tyler, or the others who whispered about hearing their names on the wind. But every time I hear a whistle, even from a bird or a passing stranger, my chest tightens. If you ever hear someone whistle your name at night, don't follow it, not even a step. Some things in the woods don't want to be found. They want you to get lost. I'm not sure why I said yes to working at Camp Echo Lake that summer. I didn't even like kids that much. But I was 19, broke, and needed something, anything, to break the monotony after my first year of college. So when my roommate offered to hook me up with a junior counselor gig, I shrugged and said, "Why not?" I should have said no. The camp was buried deep in upstate New York, nestled between thick woods and a lake, so still it looked fake. Picture postcard stuff. Classic log cabins, rustic mess hall, goofy chants about s'mores and sunblock. But there was something about it. Something off. I couldn't put my finger on it. Just this heavy feeling, like the air got thick at night, like the trees were watching. They stuck me with cabin 6. "Oh," said Claire, one of the senior counselors, pausing just a second too long. "Cool, that one's, a little quieter." "Quieter?" I asked. She gave a weird half-smile. "Yeah, doesn't usually fill up all the way." Spoiler alert, it didn't fill up at all. 3 campers were assigned to cabin 6, but only 2 showed up. A scrawny kid named Miles, who always wore a hoodie no matter how hot it got, and a loudmouth named Jason, who never shut up about video games. The third, a boy named Eli Green, was listed on the roster, but never arrived. I figured he was a late cancellation. Or maybe his parents bailed last minute and no one updated the paperwork. That kind of thing happened. But then weird stuff started happening. The first night, I found an extra bunk made up, neatly, like someone had just stepped out, which was odd because I hadn't done it and neither had the kids. I asked Miles, who shrugged and mumbled, "Was already like that." Jason, of course, made it a joke. "Maybe it's a ghost kid." Ooh. I laughed because it was a joke, right? Except every morning, that bunk would be made, even if I stripped it. Even if I left it messy. I'd walk in after breakfast and the blanket would be tucked just so, the pillow fluffed, the corners hospital tight. And then there were the drawings. Crude little pencil sketches left under my pillow. A tree, a lake, a stick figure holding hands with another stick figure. Always signed E. No last name, no explanation. The other boys swore it wasn't them. "Dude, I barely even draw," Jason scoffed. And Miles, he just looked away. One night, I stayed up late reading on the porch. The camp was quiet, the fireflies blinking like little Morse code signals. Then I heard the door creak open behind me. I turned. No one. Just the dim outline of the cabin bunks. "Jason?" I whispered. No answer. "Miles?" Still nothing. I stepped inside. Both boys were sound asleep, mouths open, wrapped in blankets. But that third bed, the one no one was supposed to be using, it had an indentation, like someone had just lain down. I didn't sleep much after that. The next day, I asked Claire again about cabin 6. This time, I pressed a little harder. She hesitated. "It's just, some people say it's haunted." I blinked. "By who?" She glanced around. "There was a kid, years ago. Eli something." "Green?" I asked. Her eyes snapped to mine. "Yeah, Eli Green." I felt like someone had dropped a stone into my stomach. He drowned in the lake, she continued. No one knows how. He was 9, supposed to be sleeping, but in the morning, he was just gone. They found his body? No, she said quietly, just his shoes, by the dock. I didn't tell the kids. I mean, what could I say? Hey guys, fun camp fact. Your third bunkmate might be a ghost? No thanks. But then Miles changed everything. One morning I found him sitting outside, knees drawn to his chest, pale and shaking. He talked to me, he whispered. Who? Eli. He said he liked my drawings. I froze. You've been drawing? He nodded, but I never showed anyone. He said he saw them. He said I should draw the dock. I sat down beside him. Miles, what did he look like? Little, wet, like he fell in the lake, but his eyes were wrong. They were gray. That was it for me. I went to the camp director, a crusty guy named Don, who always smelled like tobacco and beef jerky, and told him I wanted a different cabin. Any other one. Hell, I'd take a tent. But he just gave me that kids these days look and told me to suck it up. So I stayed, and that night I heard the screen door creak again. This time I didn't pretend it was the wind. I sat up, heart pounding, and looked across the dark room. The third bunk was occupied. There was a boy sitting there, small, thin, pale skin that almost glowed in the moonlight. He turned his head and looked at me, and smiled. No malice, no threat, just lonely. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. He opened his mouth, and I swear I heard water in his voice, like gurgling through a pipe. Do you see me now? Then he vanished, just gone. I left camp 2 days early, didn't even wait for the bus. Called my dad and begged him to pick me up. I didn't tell anyone, not really. I tried to forget. Tried. But last week I got a letter. No return address, no stamp. Just a folded piece of paper. Inside was a pencil drawing of a cabin. Cabin 6. 3 stick figures, 2 smiling, 1 off to the side. Alone. At the bottom was a letter, E. I don't think Eli ever left. I think he stayed in cabin 6, waiting for someone to notice, for someone to remember. And maybe that's the worst part of it. Not that he's still there, but that he never wanted to leave. I still remember the exact sound the trapdoor made when we pulled it open. A long, wheezing groan, like the wood itself didn't want to wake whatever was underneath. Camp Westridge was the kind of place that looked charming in the brochures. Lakefront cabins, pine-lined trails, goofy traditions like Wacky Hat Wednesday. But no one ever advertised the mess hall basement. Hell, I didn't even know it had one until the night we got locked in. It was supposed to be a dumb prank. The counselors thought it'd be funny to trap me and my best friend Danny inside for the night. Classic camp hazing. They told us to clean up after dinner, then slip the bolt shut when we weren't looking. We heard them laughing through the door, their footsteps fading into the gravel path outside. We shouted, banged on the door. Nothing. Guess we're stuck here till morning, Danny said, trying to act cool but sounding like he wanted to pee his pants. The mess hall felt different at night. Big and hollow. The long wooden tables stretched out like empty runways, and the ceiling fans spun lazily, even though no one had turned them on. The windows let in just enough moonlight to make the shadows seem alive. "Want to see something cool?" Danny asked after a while. I shrugged. "What, your impression of someone slowly losing his mind?" He grinned and pointed toward the corner. "Nah, over there. Found it last week." I followed him to the far end of the hall, where the floorboards didn't quite match up with the rest. He knelt and pried open a warped square of wood, revealing a rusted iron ring. "A trapdoor?" I asked. Danny nodded. "Heard the cooks talking about it. Said they store old junk down there, like supplies or something." He looked way too excited. I should have known better. But I was bored, a little freaked out, and desperate not to look like a wimp. So we opened it. And everything changed. The smell hit first. Not musty, not moldy. Wrong. Like meat left out in the sun, soaked in bleach and something bitter. We both gagged. "Ugh, that's foul," I said, covering my nose. Danny was already halfway down the rickety wooden stairs, his flashlight beam bouncing over the concrete walls. "Come on, don't chicken out now." Reluctantly, I followed. The basement was small, just one room. Low ceiling, crumbling shelves stacked with dusty crates. Cobwebs clung to the corners like the place hadn't been touched in years. I was about to ask if we could leave when I noticed the wall. Not a wall. The wall. It was different from the others. Not concrete. Something older. Stone, maybe? Rough-hewn and damp, like part of it had been carved out of the earth itself. And in the center, a door. No handle. Just a smooth slab with symbols scratched into the surface. Spirals, triangles, jagged runes that hurt to look at too long. Like they were wriggling when I wasn't watching. Danny reached for it. "Dude, don't," I said too late. His fingers brushed the stone, and the door breathed. I swear it. Just once. Like a slow inhale. The air pulled toward it in a gust, stirring the dust and making the crate lids rattle. We backed up fast. "Okay," Danny muttered. That's new." "Did you feel that?" I whispered. He nodded. We stared at the door, waiting for it to move again. It didn't. Not right away. Then we heard it. From behind the door, a sound that didn't belong anywhere on this earth. Wet. Slithery. Like something dragging itself across stone. Slow. Deliberate. I grabbed Danny's arm. "We're leaving. Now." We turned to the stairs, and the trapdoor slammed shut above us. The flashlight flickered. Something moved behind us. Danny swung the light around and caught it, just for a second. A shape, long and low, with too many limbs, skin like wet leather, and eyes. So many eyes, glistening like coins in the dark. It hissed, and the sound went straight into my spine. We ran. Not toward the stairs, but deeper into the basement, dodging shelves and crates, hearts thundering like war drums. The flashlight died, and I heard Danny trip, his body hitting the ground hard. I reached for him, but something brushed past my leg. Fast. Cold. Danny screamed. And then, silence. Pure and absolute. I fumbled in the dark, hands shaking, feeling around blindly. "Danny!" No answer. Just the soft scrape of claws on concrete. Then a whisper. Not words. Just something like breathing, in a voice that wasn't a voice at all. It filled my ears, made my vision swim. I dropped to my knees and pressed my hands over my head, trying to block it out. Then the trapdoor opened. Light spilled down, blinding and beautiful. I didn't think, I just ran. Climbed the stairs 2 at a time, heart in my throat, lungs burning. When I got to the top, the mess hall was empty. No counselors, no Danny, just me. They said he ran away, packed a bag and left camp in the night. But I know better. I saw what took him. I tried to explain. Told the director, the police, my parents. They didn't believe me. Or maybe they didn't want to. They sealed the trapdoor, said it was too dangerous. Rotted wood, liability issues. They never reopened it. But every year since, one camper goes missing. Always at night. Always without a sound. I get a drawing in the mail. No return address. Just a crude sketch of a door, covered in symbols. Sometimes I still hear it when I close my eyes. That soft scraping, that breathing. I think it remembers me. I think it's waiting. And one day I'll go back to Camp Westridge. Not because I want to, but because I have to. Because it's calling me.